room didn't just look expensive, it felt expensive. Power had a scent, polished wood, designer cologne, and fear hiding smile. He didn't blink. Adrian Blackwood, a man who built empires and buried anyone who stood in his way. Seraphina Vale, elegant, untouchable, dangerous enough to make kings nervous. That red dress, it wasn't fashion, it was a warning.
Effective immediately, our companies will merge.
The room erupted.
Before the empire, before the world learned to fear their names, before magazines printed their faces beside words like visionary and untouchable, there was nothing glamorous about Adrian Blackwood's life. There was hunger. At 22, Adrian lived in a one-room apartment perched above a noisy mechanic's shop. The walls were thin, the ceiling stained with old leaks, and the heat unreliable. A threadbare couch served as both bed and desk chair, its springs digging into his back as he hunched over a battered laptop night after night. The machine whirred like it was on its last breath, its screen cracked in the corner, but it was the closest thing he had to a partner. Code spilled from his fingers in relentless lines. Algorithms, prototypes, ideas no one had believed in yet. He didn't mind the doubt. Doubt meant people were blind. Blind people missed revolutions. Failure, however, was unacceptable. Adrian had grown up watching his mother work herself into exhaustion, believing loyalty would save her job. It hadn't. The lesson stuck. Talent was currency. Emotion was debt. If he was going to escape this life, it would be by force of intellect alone. You're wasting your potential, a professor once told him after class, shaking his head. Innovation requires funding, connections, support. Adrian had smiled, polite and distant. Support could be bought. Weakness could not. Across the city, Seraphina Vale stood in a mansion that no longer felt like home. The marble floors were still polished, the chandeliers still sparkled, but the silence was wrong. Too heavy, too final. At 21, she had learned the cruel difference between wealth and relevance. Her father's once mighty empire was drowning in debt, swallowed by bad investment.
You're not investing in an idea. You're investing in inevitability. The systems you rely on right now, they're slow, reactive, fragile. Built doesn't compete with them. It replaces them. This isn't a product. It's infrastructure. And once it's deployed, everything else becomes obsolete. You can call it risky. You can call it premature. But you won't be able to call it wrong.
Most people walk into markets hoping to succeed. I don't. I walk in knowing exactly who will lose. Because markets aren't driven by innovation. They're driven by leverage. Control the leverage and you control the outcome. What I'm offering isn't disruption. Disruption is noisy, temporary. I'm offering precision. A system designed to enter quietly, identify weakness, and take everything before the competition realizes what's happening. You talk like the future belongs to you.
It does.
Confidence isn't ownership.
Neither is performance.
You're brilliant, but you don't understand people.
People are predictable. Fear, greed, timing, that's all it is and more.
No. That's all it takes to start.
Control is which one mass must.
Then try until it is before that. We will.
Separate roads, same hunger. Success did not come to Adrian Blackwood like a blessing. Came like a war. After the pitch competition, no investor called. No apology arrived. The silence that followed was worse than rejection, it was erasure. For weeks, Adrian worked as if sleep were optional and food a nuisance. He freelanced by day, fixing broken systems for companies that paid late and demanded gratitude. By night, he returned to his code, tearing it apart and rebuilding it with the obsessive precision of a man who believed obsession was virtue. He spoke to no one unless necessary. Friends faded first, then acquaintances, then even names stopped matching. All that remained was the work. There were nights when his laptop overheated and shut down without warning. Nights when his electricity was cut and he coded by phone light, jaw clenched, refusing to acknowledge the quiet voice whispering that brilliance alone might not be enough. He silenced that voice every time, because Adrian had decided something irreversible. The world would not give him permission. He would take relevance by force. 6 months later, exhaustion finally betrayed him. The bug was small, insignificant, really. A single miscalculation buried deep in thousands of lines of code. But when the system failed during a live test for a minor client, Adrian watched his credibility evaporate in real time. You promised.
This is not what we agreed on. The system failed during a live test. Do you understand how bad that looks? We trusted you with this. You said it was ready.
It is ready. Contract terminated.
It crashed.
It evolved. We're not paying for experiments.
You're not paying for stability. You're paying to be ahead. Contract terminated. No, we're paying for something that works.
It works. You just deployed it too early.
This isn't on us. We're terminating the contract.
The next morning, he made a decision that would change everything. He stopped chasing approval. Instead, he built something no one had asked for, something so efficient as...
They said it wasn't ready. What they meant was they weren't. I waited, I explained, I adjusted, and it changed nothing. Because this was never about the work. It was about permission. And I don't need it. Not anymore. They wanted something safe, something predictable, something they could understand. But systems don't evolve that way. They don't ask for approval. They adapt. They optimize. They replace. And once they start, they don't stop.
Meanwhile, Seraphina Vale was fighting a different war. One fought with smiles, etiquette, and knives hidden behind silk gloves. Her father's creditors circled like vultures, polite but relentless. Meetings filled her days, each one ending with the same veiled threat. Settle, surrender, or disappear. She learned quickly that desperation had a scent, and powerful people recoiled from it. So she never showed it. Instead, she studied. She took apart financial statements the way surgeons studied anatomy. She learned where companies bled, where they hid their lies, where their pride made them careless. While others her age chased validation, Seraphina chased leverage. At night, she walked the empty halls of the mansion, heels echoing against marble floors that would soon belong to someone else. The portraits of her ancestors watched silently as she planned their resurrection or their burial. I won't save this by nostalgia, she told her father one evening, voice steady. I'll save it by changing it. He looked at her with tired eyes. You sound like them. No, she replied. I sound like survival. When the mansion was finally sold, Seraphina didn't cry. She supervised the process herself, ensuring every asset was documented, every remaining resource extracted. Pride did not stop loss, but dignity controlled it. She moved in.
These documents finalize the transfer of remaining assets. Once signed, the company will no longer operate under your authority. If you have any questions, we can...
No. Everything here is expected. You should appreciate your timing.
We appreciate your cooperation.
It won't always favor you. They think this is the end. That once the doors close, so does the story. But buildings don't define power. People do. And people adapt. They reposition. They return. Stronger than before. Names feel permanent. Carved into walls. Printed on glass. Repeat until they sound like power. But permanence is an illusion. All it takes is time, pressure, or the right mistake. And suddenly, stripped down to what matters. No excess, no illusions, just space to rebuild, to choose differently. They think I lost something. I didn't. I removed what was in the way.